Joining us first on this program are candidates seeking what's called the Seat 8 office, Republican Julee Flood and Democrat Carolyn Thompson. They're on stage with me. Thank you so much for your participation in this forum.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We flipped a coin just before this interview, and Ms. Flood, you won it, so you want to answer the first question. I'll ask many of the same questions of both of you. This is a conversation where we get to know the candidates. So tell us about your qualifications and why is now the right time for you and the Court of Appeals?
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the North Carolina Bar Association and UNC-TV for having us. I think it's very important for voter education, and we just really appreciate being here. As far as my qualifications go, I currently work at the Court of Appeals as an attorney. Prior to that, I have worked for 8 other jurists, judges and justices, in both federal and state appellate courts. That work has included researching, analyzing, and writing opinions for the jurists. I have written over the course of 20 years hundreds of judicial opinions. I've written for 4 Democrat jurists, and I've written for 5 Republican jurists. So I have experience working with all different types of people and different backgrounds. As well, I help to train new attorneys coming into the court system as far as the important work of the courts and how we do that work. In addition to my appellate court work, I have also been in-house counsel in the private sector. I've also been a law professor at several institutions and teaching all different types of courses. So between my professorship, my business experience, and my appellate court work, I've stayed very current in all different types of law, which is very important for the appellate courts.
Ms. Thompson, same question to you. It's a long term on the Court of Appeals. What makes you want to serve us in North Carolina?
Well, I'm coming to this ballot with 26 years of prior legal and judicial experience. I began practicing law in 1996 in the family practice law, juvenile services law, including being the attorney for the Vance and Warren counties, Departments of Social Services, petitioning for abuse and neglected children, child support enforcement, all while running a private practice. And then in 2008, I took the bench as a district court judge in the same district, the 9th Judicial District, presided over juvenile, family, criminal, mental health services, domestic violence cases, and stayed on that bench until 2018 when the governor appointed me to the bench as a Superior Court judge in the 9th Judicial District. I'm now a practicing attorney in the same district, continuing my heart's passion, which is domestic violence awareness and also family law practice. And so with the 26 years of experience, I believe this is the right time to make sure I'm a part of upholding our Constitution.
26 years of experience, local level, all levels of the local level. It's foundational once you move to the state level. How do you see it working out for you? What do you bring that ordinary voters can understand?
I think that this particular open seat, because of my judicial experience and being able to have a judicial philosophy of making sure that everyone is heard fairly, everyone has an opportunity to receive an impartial ruling, everyone has an opportunity to be managed with fairness and a speedy court. We have a lot of backlog, as you can imagine right now, because of COVID and not being able to get into the courtroom timely. So management, the ability to administer a court docket and have matters heard timely.
And Ms. Flood, business experience ties in to your portfolio. Tell me about that and blending it with the court's work and with some of the teaching that you've done. For the same question, it's foundational once you join the court. What can we expect?
Right, so in my business background, I've handled all different types of employment and human resources law, from contracts to leases, employment policies as well. In my teaching background, I've taught many different types of courses: criminal law, family law, administrative law. So as I mentioned, I have remained very current in many different types of law. In the court, every 2 weeks, I handle 12 cases, so I'm used to processing a lot of work and managing and overseeing and mentoring on a lot of the work of the judiciary. So I think that's extremely relevant to be able to be ready on the job from day one. I bring to that experience a judicial philosophy that is rooted in originalism, textualism, and I assess that to mean that I believe the law says what it says and means what it says, and I strive currently in the court every single day to bring that philosophy to the court, and I believe the result of that is stability. Stability for the attorneys interpreting what we have written, and stability in terms of for the parties and be able to understand what the implication is for their case, and I believe that that's the very foundation to justice for all and to treating each person fairly and equally.
And with your experience with Democrat and Republican judges, in the general sense, what qualities make for a good appellate judge, regardless of party affiliation?
Well, this is a political process to enter the system. I believe, however, that every day that I step into the court, when I go through those doors as an attorney, and I would commit to every day that I step into the court wearing a robe, that party affiliation is left behind. I don't believe that there is any room for policy or party perspectives. We are an error-correcting court. We apply the law as it is written. We are not there to make the law. And so I don't believe that partisan issues have any place in the court. They don't have any place in the court for me as an attorney, and I believe that that's why so many different perspectives have put their trust in my work and work product.
Ms. Thompson, you've been watching the court from outside, from your various positions. I'll ask you the same question. There's qualities you like to see in an appellate court judge. What are they?
Well, I agree that, sure, we are not to have any partisanship. Any time that I have sat on the bench and heard a case with a grieving mother, I've never asked the question, what is your party affiliation? Any time that I've had to deal with a juvenile who's gotten out of sorts at home and needs a place to stay other than detention, I've never asked, what is your parents' belief system? This position has to be about impartial and fair, having clear eyes toward justice regardless of party affiliation, and making sure that you are rendering rulings based upon the laws and the facts that are before you. Every case is different, and the voters need to understand that when we're coming to the bench, that they will have a fair shot at being heard and receive a fair ruling.
I want to ask this question carefully because it can be taken the wrong way, but how do we know that any court, and in this case appeals court, how do we know that it's running at its most effective level of operation as an entity?
Well, because the Court of Appeals turns out probably 1,600 cases a year, and as Ms. Flood has said, that we have a lot of issues coming before the Court of Appeals. We have to make sure that when we are putting judges in this position, that they are hard workers like I am, and that they will put their nose to the grind, if you will, and make sure that people have an opportunity to have a fair ruling in a timely manner.
Same question to you. How do we know the court is working effectively? You're an employee of the court. Is it running the way that it needs to run, and you're just joining a well-oiled machine? What's your perspective?
I think the court is a very well-oiled machine. We each have our tasks. We each have our roles. Each person there is very committed to timely performance. We have goals of time frames in which to turn out and produce and complete cases, and we kind of keep tabs on that within each chambers, while the ultimate goal, however, is excellence and quality. We don't want to sacrifice timeliness for quality, so first and foremost, we work towards getting it right, and secondly, we also work towards timely administration of justice, and I believe that we've got the great teams of staff attorneys and judges and attorneys doing the important work of the court.
Of all your personal and professional skills out there, if you had 30 seconds with someone at the supermarket to tell them, these are the two things that make me the very best for this job, what are they?
First thing that I would say is integrity, and by integrity I mean that not only personally but professionally. I have been committed to the work of appellate courts for over 20 years. I have honed and refined the skills of deep analysis. There's also a level of just passion for the work that I do. From the first time I worked for the Chief Justice of the Maine Supreme Court to the 4 judges for whom I've worked at the Court of Appeals, my passion has not waned. I am passionate about the work. I'm passionate about doing it day to day and to passing that along to young attorneys who are new to the experience.
I'll ask you, you get 1 minute with someone in the parking lot. Why are you the best? What skills do you have that would make you a great choice?
Well, the experience that I've already talked about for 26 years, being a prior district court judge and superior court judge, and understanding the workings of the courtroom so that when the matter comes before me as an appellate judge, I understand from a background of what it looks like to manage as a district court judge and a superior court judge, so when I get the record, I can get a flavor of what was happening at that point and then render my rulings based upon the record in front of me and the law that applies. But in short form, and if I'm in the grocery store, I'm the one that's going to make sure that your individual rights are protected, and we will uphold our Constitution.
You both have discussed the business side of the Court of Appeals. It's a lot of work. What are your expectations? How do you see this court working going forward? Will it get busier? Will COVID becoming more of a memory make things easier? What are your thoughts?
I think because we haven't yet seen the outcome of what COVID has done to our court system. I just rode by a courthouse this morning in Oxford, and people are wrapped around the building, if you will. We have a lot of people waiting to be heard, waiting for an opportunity to get a result. And I think with our current staff, they're doing a great job. But when this time comes for us to take the bench, we will dig in with everyone else and get the job done in a timely manner.
Your view from the inside, we only have a minute left. What do you expect going forward with this court?
I think perhaps at the trial level, there may be different backlogs in each different community. At the appellate court, however, I believe that we are right on task. We were able to keep going during COVID by integrating things such as WebEx hearings. I have seen the panels continue going. We have not taken a break from that. I think we are efficient, I think we're effective, and I think we're ready to go from day one.
Ms. Thompson, Ms. Flood, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with myself and the voters in North Carolina.
Thank you for having me.